So hi everyone, I'm going to talk about a new research project called SISAME, which stands for Simulation for Safety at Major Events. So first of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Jette Schumann. I'm working at the Institute for Civil Safety Research at the Research Center in Jülich in Germany. To be more specific, I'm a member of the modeling group, and so I'm dealing with simulation of pedestrian dynamics. The work I'm going to present is not only my work, it's based on teamwork, so that's why I want to introduce Ronald Nippold as well. He's working at the German Aerospace Center in Berlin, and he's an expert in simulation of urban traffic. And together we have been working on coupled simulations for safety at major events. So now I would like to motivate our project. So what's actually the issue with safety at major events? So the thing is that more and more people are living in large cities, and the growing mobility of the citizens is pushing the infrastructure of those cities to its limits. So that's posing new challenges for the planning of major events. And in addition, the diversity of the events is growing, and there's also a mixture of different types of traffic, and this makes it even more complicated to plan major events in cities. And if these factors are not sufficiently considered in the planning of events, crowds with high densities can occur and therefore a safety risk. This research area is quite young, so especially the holistic view on pedestrian and urban traffic and their interaction. So there are gaps in teaching and training, and thus in the application. And we want to change that with our SISAME project. And SISAME is a knowledge transfer project funded by Helmholtz. The basic goals of those knowledge transfer projects is to transfer knowledge from research to the society. And for our case, the research is about simulation tools or simulation itself. And the society or the target group are people somehow involved in event planning. So when I'm talking about simulation tools, I mean especially SUMO, simulation of urban mobility, and UPETSIM, the Jülich pedestrian simulator. And you can see an example here on the right side. At the top, you can see a simulation with SUMO. You saw there was a network infrastructure of a city at the beginning, and now you can see trains leaving and departing. And after that, the movement of the pedestrians from the train station to the event is simulated with UPETSIM. So within the scope of our project, we are coupling these two simulation tools to gather a holistic view on event planning and considering not only the movement of the pedestrian on the event location, but also their arrival and departure, because they are interactive. The knowledge transfer is realized with workshops, so we want to teach the participants skills and know-how for the use of simulation tools. And to do so, we are an interdisciplinary team. So I've already introduced the Research Center and the German Aerospace Center, so there's the expertise in simulations. And to organize and conduct successful workshops, external cooperation partners are involved, which are the Federal Academy for Civil Protection and Defense, and also the International Training Center for Crowd and Safety Management. And so we can benefit from their expertise and infrastructure in the training area. Just a short overview of the progress of our project. So we are already in the third year, so close to the end. We already started in 2019 and started to improve our simulation tools, and especially to implement the interface between both, which is still ongoing work. Last year, we already conducted our first workshop, and I'm going to talk about that in detail in a second. So for the second year of our project, we actually had the plan to accompany like real major events with our simulations to have really nice material, teaching material for our workshops. But due to COVID, we had to drop this, and instead of this, we planned an event at the location of our project partner, and I'm going to show you some simulations at the end of my talk. Currently, we are preparing the second workshop, and then we have time to improve it, our concept of teaching, and then there's going to be a third workshop at the end of our project next year. But first, I want to tell you how our first workshop did go. So the topic was major events, area and traffic planning with the support of computer simulations. It was a 2-day workshop with 12 participants from different fields of event planning. So for example, there have been managers and planners of bike events, congresses, city festivals, concerts and other events, but also security services. So we had 1 day for Sumo and 1 day for UPETSIM. So there was, we give an introduction to our tools, what is possible with simulation, which data are needed, which parameters are important to configure a simulation, and what are the limitations of simulations, and how can the participants of the workshop benefit from our tools. To sum up the workshop, I would say it was successful. It was really interactive, interesting, and the knowledge transfer was successful in both directions. So we taught the participants a lot about our simulation tools, but on the other hand, we have a way better picture now of what is important to the target group in the context of simulations. And you can see here in the list some answers to the questions, what do you hope for from simulations? What are your expectations? What do you want to do with the simulations? And the participants said they would be really grateful for a tool to support them in planning and decision making. And also they expect simulations to determine capacity limits, for example, or they want to test with simulations new planning aspects. So they were really interested in our work or in our simulations. But so there was one big issue. Actually, we wanted to teach them how to use our tools. So it would be really great to just give them a software and then they can, configure some parameters in the event planning, or for example, try out another queuing system or whatever, and then see which effect it has on the whole event. But unfortunately, at the end of our workshop, the participants said, no, it's just too complex. I don't feel comfortable or even confident enough to run simulations or to configure them on my own. So that has mainly two reasons. So one thing is a complexity and the other one is time. They saw that it's much effort to get all the data you need for a simulation, and they said, I don't have the time to do that. So we had a change of our plans, a workshop, and now we are focusing on the fact that we want to make them more confident in commissioning or evaluating simulations. And that is realized in a new concept of teaching now for our upcoming workshop. So our concept of teaching is a very dynamic one. So it's not going to be like we are telling them all we know about simulations with like really large theory blocks and then just tell them there's this parameter or this and you need to know this. It should be more like that the participants work it out by themselves. So they should realize the large pool of data and parameters that are needed to be considered when running a simulations. And to do so, we start the workshop by showing them an unrealistic simulation scenario. But of course, they do not know at the start that it should be unrealistic. They should just have a look at it and then, does it make sense? And we did a lot of mistakes configuring this simulation. So for example, too little space for buses or car parks, and the passenger changing times are not considered, or the agents are just moving too fast at the event location, or just too dense and stuff like that. And then the participants should, search for errors in this scenario, and at the end we will end up with a realistic scenario, which is considering all the different traffic, staff and organizational and on-site conditions, and of course realistic or reasonable model parameters. So here are some insights of our upcoming workshop. That is the event which we planned and simulated with our project partners instead of this real event. You can see here the location of our project partner on the left side. And the idea is that there will take place an open day. So we have day visitors, and we have visitors that will come only for the concert at the end of the day. And yeah, we simulated that one. So first of all, we had to define how the visitors of this open day arrive to this location. So that's the first step, and that's what SUMO is doing. And because of the location because of this location, it is outside of the city, and there are no parking lots available nearby, and it's on a hill. So we decided to take a shuttle bus system for the arrival and departure of the visitors, and we've simulated that with SUMO. So the visitors have the opportunity to go to or to drive to a parking lot in the city, and then they're going to be picked up with a bus and travel to the event location. And the other public transport option is that they arrive by train at the train station, then take the bus, and then come to the actual event. So that's going to be realized, or that is realized by SUMO. And the movement on the event location itself is realized with UPETSM. So people are arriving and leaving. That's a challenge, by the way, because we have a change of day visitors and concert visitors. So we have a bidirectional flow. Which is separated here, as you can see. And we have a ticket control. People are departing from the food court area, are gathering in the concert area, as you can see here. And yeah, this is our scenario for the simulation. And the first scenario we planned with more than 10,000 visitors. And actually we ended up with 3,500 visitors for the realistic scenario. So, and you can see just because of those two numbers, they already state that there are many factors that need to be considered when planning this event or configuring the simulation, and therefore a lot of potential mistakes can be made here. So, and just a note, at the time of the conference, the second workshop has already taken place. It's a 5-day workshop, and with 20 participants from really different fields of event planning. So I think it's going to be really interesting, and if you're interested in the results, just ask me about it. And now I'm already at the end of my talk, short summary. So I've introduced the SISAME-Project to you, the knowledge transfer project, and we are doing knowledge transfer with workshops for people that are involved in event planning. We want to teach them what simulations can do, what are the limitations, which input data is required, and what should be critically questions when you're looking at simulation results. So it's not just a nice video, a nice visualization, and at the end they should understand what's the actual point of simulation, so that it's not only a black box for them or magic, And yeah, so as an output of our project, we want to define guidelines for the evaluation of simulation results. And our overall goal is to make the participants more confident in dealing with simulations as an obsessing or as a evaluating person. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.